Math is so lame.
It's so exhausting.
I mean, I totally understand that. I'm not a fan.
The most tiring.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Filling out a freaking survey trying to get $15 and like it's just endless.
$15?
Apparently. So fill out a survey.
So when you said we're just gonna be going over a bunch of resources, what does that mean?
Like kind of what we did yesterday.
There are more?
There's so many. Don't you remember I showed you that list?
For what? This essay?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
There's all kinds of stuff. In fact, I told you yesterday we're going to go over literary devices and general information today, essay tips, and I don't know what I meant by this on Wednesday, thesis topics. And okay, that one I need to revisit because I feel like we did that yesterday. MLA formatting and citations. I'll revisit it.
So it's basically just going over like
how to do stuff.
Okay.
Thesis. You should start bringing water.
I know. Yeah, I just said that.
I'm just agreeing with you. Jeez. Okay, let me just take a little look, see. Oh, I have so many things I should be doing. Things I must do before I leave this place today. Oh, okay. I see what I meant. Literary devices and general info. Oh, I see. But, like, how to write a thesis statement. All right. Well, we'll have something to look at every day, but it might not take very long every day, which is fine. I could give you guys a quiz. There's an optional MLA quiz. I'm not going to do it, though. Okay. People drive me insane. Oh, hey, folks.
Hello.
Let me close this door. Children are so loud, just all the time. Children are so loud. Children are so loud.
True.
This water fountain has a sign on it that says "Do not use for drinking." They're like mid-repair on it, and I just saw Damari Grant read the sign and then get water out. Like he took time to read the sign, and then he was like, "Oh well," and just like got a cup. Okay, yes. Not all of you are seniors, but some of you are, and I just wanted to mention that you should have gotten an email from me this morning about Spirit Week because I am your team captain. What?
Felt like that was like 2 days ago.
That was this morning. It's been a long day.
It has been a long day.
I just am going to quickly, if my computer will cooperate with me. Oh God, duh. Go through the events of Spirit Week so that you will know. This is Frankenstein. That's not Spirit Week. This is Spirit Week. It is next week, Monday through Friday, our week before spring break. First of all, there's a canned food drive happening all week. So those of you who are in person, you can bring canned foods and drop them in those boxes in front of the cafeteria. If you are virtual, but you want to contribute to your group winning anyway, you can drop off a bag. Just make sure that the people in the office know that it's supposed to go to seniors. Monday is hat day. You can wear a hat to class. You can also wear a hat on Zoom and get credit for doing it. Tuesday is twin day. You can match with a friend or your whole crew, whatever that means. Your posse, I suppose. Your clique. And send pictures of that to your Allegory Instagram. Or you can match with a teacher. Some people are matching with a teacher. There's also on Tuesday a dance competition. How embarrassing. Send in a video of you and your twin doing a TikTok dance.
What? I didn't even see that.
That's
Oh
a thing.
God.
I know. Doesn't it make you want to just crawl in a hole and die?
It has, oh my God.
And you can gain 10 extra points by performing in the cafeteria at lunch.
I think this has started to a certain
It feels middle school, doesn't it? People that do things that I'm not interested in doing.
Yeah.
Agreed. I'm not about ticking and talking. Career day is Wednesday. You can change your Zoom background to be the background you hope you live in when you grow up. I think that's a very confusing statement for career day. You can also get extra points for dressing up as a career aspiration. So if you want to be a doctor, you could wear a stethoscope and have the background of your Zoom be a doctor's office. If you want to be a person who goes on African safaris, you could have your Zoom background be a lion or a giraffe or a rhino and wear one of those safari hats. You should send screenshots of yourself dressed up and with a cool Zoom background to the Allegro Instagram for an Instagram competition. Those of you who are in person, I'm happy to take pictures of you and send them myself. Character day is Thursday. Dress up like a character from anything. And the challenge on Thursday is to show off your signature skill if you have one. You can send a picture or video to Allegro to show off your skill and gain triple points by performing in the cafeteria at lunch. I feel like that one is crazy because, like, what if your skill is drumming, for instance? Yeah, you could send a video of yourself drumming, but it says you could send a picture. Like, what's to stop somebody from just sending a picture with drumsticks who can't drum at all? That's what I'm saying. And then Friday is the color war. You'll just dress in your grade's color. And if you wear the wrong color, the point will go to the corresponding team. So juniors, who I think is just Madison at this point, red. You wear red. Everybody else, seniors, wear blue. And don't wear red, purple, black, orange, green, or yellow.
So like I actually have to get out of like my normal black clothing.
Yeah.
That I wear.
We have to, like, I need to reiterate this with my second period class, which is all senior boys, because who was Eli earlier was like, sorry, but I'm not dressing in anything other than my usual black clothes. And I didn't read that part about how if you wear the wrong color, the point will go to the corresponding team. So
this isn't fair.
Why?
Because I agree. Most of 12th grade isn't even in person.
I agree.
And 12th grade is small.
I said that in the email that you didn't read.
I read it.
Both of those things. It's not fair.
I read it a week ago.
I feel like it is, unless we try super hard, I feel like it will go to 8th grade because they have the biggest class and because middle schoolers are all about TikTok.
It's not.
They're
I like-
tryhards, Madison.
Watching TikToks, I don't like making them. I look stupid.
I don't do anything with them. Like sometimes people will send me one and I'll watch it. And sometimes they're funny, but
I look stupid when I do it.
I'm not savvy enough to do those things. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not 100% fair. I feel like it should be based on percentage, not number.
Yeah,
But
it's not based on percentage.
no, I think you should raise that concern with Miss Sale,
I will.
whose idea this was.
I will do that.
I really, like, no offense, Madison, but I really want to beat 11th grade at least, just because Mr. Nelson's being very obnoxious about the whole thing, and he's their team captain. Yeah,
God. Of course it is.
of course it was. Oh, he's so dumb. He like interrupted my class to be like, "Are all the juniors in here? Is this all juniors? Can I talk for a minute?" I'm like, "No, I'm teaching." So stupid. Okay, well, I will remind you guys later on Friday or like maybe Sunday night, just so you remember. I don't know. Would you check your email on Sunday nights or early Monday morning? Or would that not make any sense to email you at that time to remind you?
You should email at like 7 Sunday.
Sunday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then when we open it like the next day, we'll see it.
Okay. My concern there is like if you don't check your email on Sunday night and you don't check it until you get to school.
Well,
Oh.
people don't have their emails on their phone.
Not everybody does.
Why?
I don't know, probably because like it
Maybe
stress.
send Friday and Sunday.
I could do Friday and Sunday. Yeah.
And maybe do Sunday like earlier in the day. So if people are like doing homework, they can see their email.
Yeah, good thinking. Okay. Yeah, I'll email both. I don't know that we can win with our numbers, but I think we could if we try. This class has always been impressive with what you're able to accomplish. So I think you can do it. There was one more thing I was going to say about that, but now it's gone. I don't know what I was going to say. Okay. So we're going to look at a couple more things today. I just got to remind myself what. This is you. Nope. That's next week. Literary devices and general info. Okay. Yeah, this is all the stuff we're getting through this week. See how much that is? That's a lot. So today we're going to look at literary devices. Oh, I like don't even want to download this because I don't want to have more. Can we just do this? All right, we'll do this. Is that hard to see? All right, this is what I want to do. Literary devices in fiction. All right, first one we're going to look at, allegory. We went over this a bit with our last story. It's a literary work in which characters, actions, and even settings have two connected levels of meaning. Elements of the literal level signify or serve as symbols for a figurative level that often imparts a lesson or moral to the reader. And I think one of your options is to discuss how one of the stories is an allegory, and you would talk in one paragraph about the literal meaning and then the symbolic meaning in another paragraph. That might just be symbolism, not allegory, but it could play into it. The example, I think I've mentioned this story before. I definitely have in some classes, but maybe not this one, because I had to read this book when I was homeschooled and we took like Bible class. It's this book called Pilgrim's Progress, in which a character named Christian has to make his way through obstacles like the Valley of Humiliation to get to the Celestial City. These are very obvious symbols. It's a very obvious allegory. but that's a good example because it is so clear. Speaking of symbols, a symbol is an object, setting, event, animal, or even person that functions in a story the way you'd expect it to, but more importantly, also stands for something more than itself, usually for something abstract, like the mockingbird and To Kill a Mockingbird. Like, I mean, you could debate that several different people are the mockingbird, but that's how a person could be a symbol. Rings symbolize marriage, unity, fidelity. The American flag symbolizes freedom and democracy. The dove symbolizes peace. Sometimes words themselves can symbolize ideas or concepts. Some examples from other works that you might have read: Lord of the Flies. I know a lot of us read that. The island was symbolic of our world, and the way the characters dealt with the various situations was a symbol for the way many people live their lives. Every character symbolizes something. For example, Ralph is a symbol of good intentions. Piggy and his glasses symbolize intelligence and civilization. The conch stands for democracy, and Jack embodies the worst characteristics of the human race. Remember watching that clip of that movie where they killed Piggy and then like everybody kept making me run it back? Do you remember that?
Oh,
Yeah, I think it was mainly Francis. Maybe he was in your was he in the same class? Did I teach you Lord of the Flies?
no.
I don't either. I feel like
Yeah.
definitely Franny
Yeah, you
was.
taught us Lord of the Flies because I remember reading it in my group was, I think it was Julius, Tylene, Jada, and Gino, or maybe somebody else, and they kept putting theme on our slideshow, and it bugged the living crap out of me.
That makes sense. Do you remember going back, like rewinding to watch them kill Piggy like
Yeah.
a million times?
Yeah. Well, no, I think Francis was in the first period class
Maybe so. That might be right.
with Ani and Sarah.
Yeah, maybe so. Wow, I never thought I'd get to a point where I didn't remember like who was in which class. Like, of course I would, but usually my memory's so good that it feels like my brain is broken that I can't remember that. In Harry Potter, Slytherin's symbol was a snake, which lets readers know that they're associated with evil, cleverness, and ambition. And in Animal Farm, each character symbolizes an actual figure for the Russian Revolution, as well as those ideas. Okay, we kind of like just went over this, so I'm not going to go over it in great detail. We talked about stock characters and flat versus round, and it's just saying adjectives there because a round character would have you would be able to use a lot of adjectives to describe this character. And I do know that one of the options for your essay is about characterization and deciding if your character is flat or round, or are they static or dynamic. I don't know what this goes to. Oh, it's just defining epiphany for me. Well, now what? Okay. That's very annoying, isn't it? All right, I'm not going to click on anything else. Static versus dynamic, just whether they undergo changes over the course of the story or not. And a dynamic character might have some sort of epiphany. The point of view, we're talking about a vantage point from which a writer tells a story, who is telling the story. We probably know by now the difference in first person and third person. But when it's first person, the reader knows the thoughts and feelings of just the narrator, who may or may not be reliable. In the third person, narrator is not going to be a character in the story, but the reader knows the thoughts and feelings of one main character in the story. So it's sort of like it's being told by an observer. In third person omniscient, the reader knows the thoughts and feelings of all the characters in the story. There's not a whole lot of surprises for the reader with this type of narration. but it can be effective if there are a lot of plots occurring at the same time. Theme. We talked about theme yesterday. I remember talking about that. Some idea or insight about human life or human nature that gives meaning to the stories, characters, and events. Theme is going to be what the writer wishes to convey about the subject. You can think of it as the moral of the story or what you learned. They usually reveal the writer's own personal attitude towards the world or how, excuse me. Hello. I do have Julius. Sure, 1 second. It's for you.
What?
Yeah, it's for you.
Who is it?
It's Miss Carlson.
Oh.
I'm not your secretary, Julius.
No. Yeah.
Sorry, Julius is taking phone calls during class. I'm going to keep going without him.
Between the two trash cans.
Most themes are implied, not directly stated, and the reader kind of has to piece it all together using the clues that the writers provided and what happens in the story. Two of the most important clues to consider are how the main character is changed and how the conflict has been resolved. The theme is not the plot or the main idea.
Yeah.
It's a statement about life that can be derived based on the plot. Jeez. What did she want?
I cleaned out one of the closets and there was some bag and she wanted to know that.
Oh, okay. Seems like it could have been an email, but all right. A theme is not the same as the subject of a work, which can usually be expressed in a word or two. Like a subject could be old age, ambition, love, revenge. But a theme is going to be a statement about those things. Like revenge is usually not as satisfying as you think it would be. That could be a theme. I'm trying to think of like Macbeth. I don't know if you guys have read Macbeth, but there's definitely a theme about ambition. Maybe something about how if your ambitions are too high, they could be your downfall. It would be stated better than that, but so some examples here. A theme of Lord of the Flies is that man is inherently evil because all of these little boys turn savage and horrible. So the theme would not be the nature of man. What are we saying about the nature of man? The theme of Harry Potter is that good will conquer evil, or that friends can become one's family, or that the little guy can win.
The
little guy, the underdog.
Harry Potter is little.
He's like an underdog.
No, he's not.
Compared to Voldemort.
He's the only person that has survived Voldemort.
All right.
He's not the underdog.
All right. That's in the beginning, he kind of is the underdog.
He's 11.
Right, he is, but like he doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know that he's the chosen one. He hasn't even known that magic exists.
That does not make him the underdog.
I think in the beginning he's kind of the little guy.
Okay.
It's a point worth debating. Okay, I didn't invent this. I didn't write this presentation, okay? There are 3 types of irony. Verbal irony, which is when someone says one thing but really means the opposite. Sarcasm is a very good example of verbal irony. Situational irony, which is when something happens that's the opposite of what is expected or appropriate. This is like exactly a slide from earlier because I remember that I don't like the horror movie example. I don't think that's very good. But in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy had the power to go home the whole time. That's some situational irony. The Tin Man was looking for a heart, but he didn't have one the whole, like metaphorically he did, but then they gave him the little pocket watch in the shape of a heart. Dramatic irony is when the audience or reader knows something important that a character in a story does not know. Like in Romeo and Juliet, we know that Juliet isn't really dead, and we're like, wait, Romeo, don't drink that poison, but he doesn't know that, so he does it anyway. Mood. Mood is the atmosphere or feeling created in a work of literature, usually through descriptive details or setting, like the phrase, it was a dark and stormy night. That kind of helps to set the mood. All these words are examples of things that could be mood. And specifically, are they going to talk about tone next? Yeah. Mood is the feeling that's created in us. Tone is the attitude that the writer takes. So it's kind of like the writer's feelings versus our feelings. Tone is the attitude that a writer takes towards the subject, usually conveyed through the writer's choice of words and details. Like, for example, if the story is about war, we can usually tell how the author feels about war just from the way that the narration talks about it.
Where is that?
It looks like the Washington Monument and World War II Memorial. Yeah. It's weird that there's clip art of that. And then an allusion, not to be confused with an illusion, is a reference to a historical, real, or literary person, place, or event. So in this example, Cupid's arrow struck him down. He knew that loving her would be like loving a Capulet, but he couldn't help his feelings. We know what Capulets are because most people have at least a cursory knowledge of Romeo and Juliet. Okay, the other one we're going to look at today, general info for writing an essay. Very, but then it doesn't say very what. You see that? Very important when you hover over it. Very. This is very. This is just some basic info about style and format. And some of this stuff is going to be kind of repetitive, especially like later in the week when we're looking at intro, thesis, conclusion stuff. It's stuff we've gone over before, but since you're about to write one of your only 2 essays, actually, you have 2 essays in a project. It's important. Particularly if you're already doing really well in this class, which some of you are. I was going to say, obviously, it's probably harder to get an excellent grade on an essay than it is on these quizzes and prompts. So you want to make sure that you're giving it your all. But also, if you're not doing all that well, you want to make sure that you do really well so you can help bring that grade up. Also, those of you who are doing less well, and like no one's failing this class or anything, but those of you who are doing less well, it's because you have like not done a quiz or not done a prompt. So you gotta make sure to stay on top of those. Okay, so double space your entire essay. Very important. You don't need a cover page. Just to reiterate, because we haven't really done titles like this before, you want a title that specifies your focus in the essay. So vague titles like essay or drama essay or short story essay, that's really imprecise. It could be a question. Yes. Don't use just the title of the work you're analyzing. Like the title of your first essay should not be The Veldt. It could be like, what can I write about with the Veldt? The Symbolism of Technology in Ray Bradbury's The Veldt. So that's a pretty good title. And it tells the reader virtually nothing about your focus in the essay if you just use the title. Okay, so there are some examples here, but we looked at those exact examples yesterday, so I'm not going to go back over them. This is one that for some reason students always want to do. Don't bold, underline, all caps, or put quotation marks around your own title. Just write them like this. Like it's all just one thing except the name of the story that you're talking about would be in quotation marks. So don't do like that. Don't bold, all cap, underline. That feels aggressive. Failed fathers and Miller's death of a salesman. It's aggressive. You should italicize the titles of other people's plays and books. We're not doing those though. Just quotation marks for A and P. Where are you going? Where have you been? The yellow wallpaper. Don't use you, your, yourself, or other second person pronouns in your essays. Stuff like, you can see that Sammy hates his job. You can change that and say like, readers can see that Sammy hates his job, or it's obvious that Sammy hates his job. The audience, when we get to plays, we won't have to go back over all of this stuff before we write our second essay, which will be about a play. So just keep that in mind. Do not use first person pronouns. This is something that you guys are probably pretty good at by now, but I definitely am still struggling with it, even with my AP kids. I'm just like, we know that you're writing the essay. We know this is your opinion. You don't have to specify it. Avoid the internet or cheat sheet sources of information on the works we read. I'm just going to read you what this says. I really do not want you to read the many Wikipedia, CliffsNotes, or SparkNotes types of summaries and interpretations for your essays or writing prompts. What the frick?
What the heck is that?
I don't know. If I want to read someone else's views, I could just do that. I'm interested in your particular ideas about what you read. Yes, if you've already got really good ideas and thoughts, you can certainly, like, we'd rather hear your own opinions, but it doesn't feel like, I don't know. I feel like I would have less integrity if I told you like just not to do it, because I do that all the time. I look at CliffsNotes, I look at Schmoop, I look at SparkNotes, I look up interpretations for where are you going, where have you been? And I think that as long as you're not using those like as sources, then it's okay. I don't want to like discourage you from reading more about the stories, because sometimes that can spark a really good idea. Maybe it never would have occurred to you to see Arnold's friend as this particular type of character if you didn't look something up about it. So I'm not going to say just don't, but obviously we want your opinion and not somebody else's. And that being said, we don't need any sources for this essay. This should just be your opinion, which is why we're kind of saying steer away from CliffsNotes, Wikipedia, or whatever. Because if you do read commentaries and interpretations, if you're using that information, you should make sure you give credit within your essay. We know what plagiarism is, but this first essay should not include any secondary sources. And this just kind of points out you'll want to revisit this page throughout the semester. I would recommend looking back at it before we do our second essay as well. And that's it for today. This week is going to be just looking at this kind of thing, because obviously we have quite a lot to get through this week, all that stuff. We're not going to do this writing lecture and MLA quiz, but so each class could potentially be like fairly short. I'm so sorry. I did not see that there was a chat. You were in that the Lord of the Flies class. Yes. Sorry. When I have my screen shared, I don't always notice that there's chat going on. So this week might not be like the most stimulating week ever, but it's important for you to be able to write your essay. And don't forget that the thesis is due on Monday. Your thesis is due Monday. There will be a spot to upload it. There is actually already a spot to upload it. And if you need help in between then and now, just let me know. Hopefully y'all are at least at this point kind of like figuring out which story you want to write about, or like which one of the 4 topics you're going to do. And if you need a little bit of direction, just let me know. Any questions or comments from virtual folks before I let y'all go? Nope.
No.
All right. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow then.
See you tomorrow.